NVIDIA recently introduced DLSS Frame Generation with higher multipliers like 5x and 6x, but this feature is officially limited only to RTX 50 series GPUs. But thanks to the modding community, there's actually a way for us to unlock these higher multipliers even on RTX 20, 30, and 40 series GPUs. And for that, I'm using a mod called DLSS Enabler. This mod is completely free to download from Nexus Mods. But to make this work properly, you also need the latest Streamline SDK, specifically version 2.11. So in this video, let's test how these 5x and 6x multipliers actually perform on older GPUs and whether the results are usable or not. For testing, I'm using my RTX 3060 Ti. So we're going to check a few important things: how noticeable the artifacts are, how much the base frame rate drops when using higher multipliers, and most importantly, the latency. Because let's be real, latency is one of the biggest concerns when using frame generation. So let's test everything step by step using this DLSS Enabler mod. For this, I'm starting with Cyberpunk 2077 because this game already has some known issues like car ghosting, because this mod is using FSR3 frame generation to mimic DLSS frame generation through NVIDIA's streamlined system. It behaves similar to DLSS, but it's not the real DLSS implementation. That's why you still see issues like shadow glitches and ghosting, especially on RTX 20 and 30 series GPUs. Alright, I've turned on frame generation and set it directly to 6x multiplier. To be honest, the smoothness is definitely improved a lot, and the latency actually feels better too. But if you look closely, the ghosting artifacts while driving are still noticeable. So let's see how it performs in the city areas. Yeah, I can feel some jittering in the mouse movements. It's a bit uncomfortable. And if you look at my base frame rate, it's slightly lower compared to outside the city. This becomes even worse if your base frame rate is low, like around 30 FPS or below. Now, this is where you really need to pay attention to your base frame rate, because once you enable frame generation, your actual base FPS drops a bit, and then frame generation builds on top of that. The more you push higher multipliers, the more it costs in base frames and latency. So the only real solution we have is to optimize our graphics settings and use upscaling technologies properly so we can maintain a strong base frame rate. Personally, I recommend trying to keep your base FPS around 50 to 55 if possible, and stick with 3x frame gen multipliers. If you can maintain that, you'll get a much smoother experience, and your latency will stay somewhere around 45 to 50 milliseconds, which is still playable. Alright, now let's compare the car ghosting between 3x and 6x multipliers. To be honest, the 3x multiplier is much better than 6x, and the car ghosting is also less noticeable. Even the character shadow glitches are reduced compared to 6x. Now let's check the mouse movement jitter. Yeah, it's definitely lower than what we saw with the 6x multiplier. If you're using an RTX 40 series GPU, these issues are much less noticeable compared to this. So if you have an older GPUs like RTX 20 or 30 series, personally, I still recommend sticking with 2x or 3x multipliers because you get better image quality, lower latency, and overall a more stable gameplay experience. So yeah, these are the main things I learned from testing higher multipliers using the DLSS Enabler mod. It's definitely interesting to try, and since it's a free and open source tool, anyone can test it out. But always remember, your base frame rate is the most important factor when using frame generation. If you can keep it around 50 to 55 FPS, you'll get a much smoother experience with better image quality. So go ahead, try this mod yourself, and let me know your experience in the comments. If you learned something new about using high multipliers, don't forget to drop a like and share this with your friends. And if you're enjoying my content, consider subscribing for more frame generation and optimization guides. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.